Welcome back. Snow is here. I have a lot to discuss. Am I happy about the snow? You're gonna hear about it. But yeah, there's a lot to discuss. I've got some November stats. I've got reading updates. I've got BookTube Community. I've got a lot to talk about. So let's dive right in and talk about reading updates for this past couple weeks. I've been reading an absolute ton of books, and I want to talk about it. So I'll kick it off with Well of Shiawan by C.J. Cherry. This is book number 2 in the Morgaine cycle. And I am buddy reading this with Tim from Secret Fire Books. And we're going to have a live stream to talk about this entry. We did book number 1 several months ago. And so, yeah, more to come on that. I've been trading messages with Tim, and I know he's reading it. Probably is getting close to finishing it. I finished it this week, so I'm really excited about that. I've been reading, I finished books 8, 9, and 10 of the Virgil Cole and Everett Hitch series. So book number 8 was Blackjack. I finished it, and there should be a review forthcoming if it's not already out by the time you see this. And then I also finished book number 9, which is Revelation. And that's going to be forthcoming. And book number 10, which is, actually I have that one. It's Buckskin by Robert Knott. I just been binge reading this series, and little secret, my wife doesn't know, but I actually got on Thrift Books and picked up the mass market paperbacks for these and ordered them. So I'll have all of the mass market paperbacks. I'll have all 10 books up there, but don't tell her. Anyways, I'm guessing you're probably getting like sick of all the book reviews being about this series. So I slid in a read, something I've been wanting to do. I've been trying to get a little more mood reading in. My November TBR had only like a handful of books. I had 2 nonfiction books and a couple books I wanted to get to that were buddy reads. The Black Company, which I read and I'm going to be talking about with Chris at the Bearded Book Beast, which I've got a funny story about that I will tell you. Well, I'll tell you now. So, so a little bit of a digression here. So we're at Thanksgiving evening at my parents, visiting them, and my granddaughter's there. And so my son's name is Christian, and she had my phone, and she's been told not to be texting people, but she likes to do it because she thinks she's funny. And so she saw in my messages on my phone, Chris, and so she sent him a text, love you, daddy. And we saw what she had my phone, and she was giggling. I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, nothing. And like, are you texting someone? She's like, I just texted daddy. And so I got the phone, and it wasn't daddy. It was Chris from the Bearded Book Beast. And so I'm like, hey, sorry, bro. And he was completely fine. He was cool with it. But I thought that was kind of funny. But yes, I read The Black Company. Chris from the Bearded Book Beast and I are going to be meeting to talk about this in December. Really look forward to that discussion. But yeah, I read Max Slade. Book number 2, The Tinseltown Murders, kind of mood read. And I know you're probably getting sick of all the Virgil Cole Everett Hitch reviews. And read this in an afternoon. Hilarious. I will have a review forthcoming about this. If you saw I read this and did it for an episode of Saturday Shorts, which I'll link in my book review video for book number 2. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. These are a heck of a lot of fun. But I'll talk more about that soon. I reread The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, which is actually book number 1, which it actually says on this spine, number 1. But this edition, I have a compilation, big, huge chunkin with all the books in them. But this one was at my in-laws. It actually has my wife's maiden name in here as well, that she wrote into this. So this is an older book in the 70s. I think this was published, this edition. And so, yeah, I'll probably take this one around with me when I go visit Carly's class and do a discussion. But yeah, I read this. You can read this book in an afternoon if you're, it's a fun read. I really enjoyed rereading it. Brought a lot back some memories. And so, yeah, I read that. And then lastly, I actually finished. I had started reading this a little earlier, but I finished Errol Flynn by Thomas McNulty. Yes. And I'll kick it off. I'm not going to do a review of this book, but I do want to talk a little bit about it here. But I saw this too when I was kind of thinking about it this morning. And when Thomas sent me this copy and signed it, and he said, to Kevin, set sail for adventure, Thomas McNulty. And I have to admit, yeah, this was an adventure. Errol Flynn, he was an actor that I was aware of, didn't know much about. I knew he was an actor. Way before my time, even actually before my parents' time. But yeah, I knew of him. I didn't know anything about him until I read Thomas's account here. And it's really, really good, first and foremost. But yeah, Errol Flynn, born in 1909, Hobart, Tasmania, dies in 1959. So he lived 50 years. And what a 50 years he packed in to that. 3 marriages, 4 kids, accused of, SA with young girls, was part of an FBI sting in the 1943 regarding human trafficking in the world of Hollywood and scandal and being above the law. And yeah, and even after the fact of all the movies, over 50 movies that he's a part of, his own hometown of Hobart, Tasmania, they don't want to put a statue, they don't want to name a street after him. And even though after all the scandal and he's acquitted of the rape trial that he's a part of, he still is kind of shunned by some, but other studios are wanting to do movies with him even after that. It's an interesting take. There's a couple different sections, obviously, that Thomas breaks this out. Part 1, we're talking about Tasmania to Hollywood. And I thought that was interesting. You get the backstory, his grassroots. And then part 2 and 3, you have, part 2 is the Hollywood kind of, all of his films and all of that kind of glitz and glamour and backstabbing and, and all that. And then you have kind of part 3 is kind of the trial, the what's going on with that. You get information about the case. It's just really well done. Kudos to Thomas. This was a lot of fun reading this. If you are interested in Errol Flynn, I highly recommend you check this out. I really enjoy reading this. I'm not a huge fan of nonfiction, but I have tried to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, and this was a heck of a lot of fun. So really, really enjoyed this. And so, yeah, that is what I've been reading. I read 5 short stories from Robert E. Howard. It was a Steve Costigan stories. Really enjoyed those. It was kind of a mixed bag, but I really enjoyed some of the fighting, especially in the later entries. But yeah, really, really cool. I'm interested in checking out Howard's Westerns. I know he has some of that. I've seen on other channels as well, so I'm interested in that. But that's what I've been reading. So let's talk a little bit about video updates, what I've been putting out in terms of videos. I did book haul number 50. Yes. I did my Saturday shorts, as I just mentioned. I did book review of The Bridge. I did book review of Blackjack, which I didn't know if I had that out, but obviously I did. I did 2 book tags. I did the Big 6-0 book tag, and I did the Stephen King book tag, the King of Horror book tag, which is really interesting. Really enjoyed it. So I had 6 videos in the last couple weeks. Again, I've been trying to step back on the video count, and I've done a pretty good job the last several weeks. So I'm really proud about that. In terms of BookTube community, lots of people, lots of engagement. Book Skurs and Purrs, Book Chat with Pat, Power Avocado, Wendy Torrance, Some Other Character, Bing Lamb, Stephen Everett 7, Brian the Crustic, Luigi, Faceless, Storm Reads, Reading Ideas, Professor X, Casper's Mystery Corner, Tim 9059, Suey's Inspired Life, Timothy Janata, Lynn's 12, Free Indeed, Bookish Chaz, Jim's Books Reading and Stuff, Book Zealots, Marlicia Meanderings, Katie Books, Tammy Esposito, Vin's Corner, Richard Adcock, Reading Pathways, Stuart Griffin, Twice Born by Grace, Tracy's Nordic Light, Already Overbooked, Jack Hamlin, David Novak, JPT, Just Dawn 6288, Kim's Inspired Life, Grammaticus Books, Mark Latrella, McGrizzle 75, Reading Still Matters, Eric Henderson, Nicole's Bookish Nook, Hide and Read, Book Buds, Books with Sam, Melissa Says Hi, Andrews Wizardly Reads, Brian the Crustic, which I think I already said, Kuya Koi and Sue Logue Johnson. It's been a heck of a interesting 2 weeks. Lots of comments, lots of engagement, which is something I saw on John's channel at Must Read More when he talks about it's the engagement that matters the most, and it really is. The comments are great. I love hearing from you all, what you're reading, what your thoughts are about what I'm putting out. It's really fun, and so I really appreciate that. Now let's talk a little bit about life updates. So yes, snow. Snow has been finally here, and I'm not very happy about it because, yeah, now I'm going to have to go shovel snow, and it's going to take away from time from reading and doing other things. So, yeah, it is what it is. Thanksgiving was a lot of fun. We played some games, had family, went to in-laws, went to my parents, had kids, granddaughter. It was a lot of fun. Birthdays. We had Tessa's birthday. We had my birthday. We did some book shopping this week during the long weekend. I had spent time with the young girls. Lots of fun over this long weekend, enjoying family and just being out there and doing stuff we don't normally get to do amongst all the hustle and bustle of jobs and everything else. That's been a lot of fun. And so in terms of BookTuber Spotlight, I have two channels that I want to mention here. The first is Mike at Riff Raff's Reading Renaissance. I'm new to Mike's channel, and so I've just started watching a couple videos, getting acclimated to his channel, but I came across this channel from a book tag that I saw, and Mike does TBRs, reading events, tags. You should check him out. He's been on BookTube from what I gathered about 4 months. Because about 4 months ago he did the newbie book tag, or the BookTube newbie tag, and so he's a South African, likes classics and literature, just seems like a really great guy. You should definitely check out his channel. And then the other one is Priscilla at Evening Reader. So I'm really liking her channel. It's very cozy, very fun. She is always on there smiling, laughing, usually at herself in some of her videos. But she is from the Netherlands, I believe, and she does rambling videos, tags, reading events, etc. A lot of similar stuff that Mike does as well. And I just enjoy her videos. I really love her background, all kind of the white and the little knickknacks and books. And so it's just really kind of peaceful watching, if that's a thing. But I really enjoy Priscilla. You should check out Mike and Priscilla. Those are my two channels for BookTuber Spotlight this week. And so, month-to-date stats. I have some stats for November for you all. And so, November, I read 10 books, I read 10 short stories, and I did 19 videos. 2 of the 19 which were live stream events that I did, which was really fun. Year to date, I'm up to 111 books, 142 short stories, and 330 videos for this year. And I know I've cut back, but yeah, really heavy video output in the first 6 months, which is a lot of that, but I'm really liking the cadence and the pace that I have now with alternating reading wrap-ups and Saturday shorts. I like that. It's really freed me up, and I'm doing a better job of spacing out stuff, not putting something out every single day, which has really freed me up to read more, which is really good. So I'm really enjoying that. I didn't plan on reading much in November because I had 2 huge nonfiction books. I'm going to get into where I'm at with the next one. But yeah, I like this freedom. In November, the average rating for my books was a 4.3, which is great. Average rating for short stories was a 3.8. And that's actually down, but it still was entertaining. I read Ed McBain and I read Robert E. Howard short stories in November. So that was interesting. My top 3 books for November, one was Revelation, which is book number 9, the Virgil Cole Everett Hitch series. I know, shocker. Number 2 was The Tinseltown Murders, the Max Slade book. That was number 2. And then number 3 was Blackjack, book number 8 in the Virgil Cole Everett Hitch series. Those are my top 3 books for November. In terms of top short stories for November, the first one is Death Flight by Ed McBain. Second is Circus Fist by Robert E. Howard. And the third is One Down by Ed McBain. I really enjoyed that Ed McBain short stories. I really like that. It was from the McBain Brief, I believe. Yeah, really enjoyed those short stories. And so, yeah, that's kind of my month-to-date stats for November. In terms of upcoming reading and videos, reading-wise, I am starting Da Vinci the nonfiction Da Vinci account by Walter Isaacson. That is started for me. I'm probably going to read an 87th Precinct book in the future. That's also probably in my wheelhouse. I have a book that I need to read as part of Book Bros, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I'll probably dive into maybe a Travis McGee, maybe a Mac Bolan. I'm trying to keep the rest of the year kind of light before I head into like the new year and what my goals and priorities are, which is something else I'll talk about. In terms of upcoming videos, I have a book tag, Saturday Shorts. I'm probably going to read, I think Saturday Shorts, I'm going to do some Joyce Carol Oates short stories. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't read anything from her in I don't think a long while. I don't think I've read any Saturday Shorts from Oates. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be there's 3 book reviews coming out, one of which is not Virgil Cole and Everett Hitch, so that's a good thing. And I'm going to be doing book mail and a birthday book haul all in one, and it is a huge one. Yeah. So I got a book in the mail, and that's really cool. I really want to talk about. And I used some of my birthday money and gift cards and came across a huge deal. Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. So you definitely don't want to miss that. And in the future, I think it's the second week of December. We are going to solidify the date and time for Book Bros, and we're going to be reading that Christmas mystery thriller book that Logan picked out. So be on the lookout for more information on that. And that is one of the books I still need to read, but I'll probably read it really close to that date. On the horizon, I talked a little bit about this. I'm going to be doing my buddy read of The Black Company with Chris from the Bearded Book Beast. I'm going to be doing my discussion of my buddy read, Well, of Shiowan by CJ Cherry with Tim at Secret Fire Books. At some point, probably before the holiday break, I don't know how Carly's got the date set up yet, but we're going to be talking Lions, Witch, and Wardrobe with her class. I'll see what I can do in terms of giving you at least an update about how that went or some details. And then end of year stuff is going to be forthcoming in December. I'm going to talk about my top reads, my top short stories. It's not going to be a top 10. I'm not doing a top 10 list. I'm going to talk about my top stuff. So there's a difference. Everyone's doing top lists, and that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing, top reads, top short stories, and that kind of take. So it is different. So just, yeah. And I'm also going to be talking about my priorities for 2026 in terms of what series, what reads, what's priority for me in terms of what's coming on the channel in 2026. And I'm taking a really different approach to my goals this year. Last year, I had really specific, huge goals. This year, I'm probably going to take a more subtle approach, a more focused approach, which I've talked about on the channel quite a bit. And so, more to come on those things. It's going to be an interesting December, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I will talk to you soon. I hope you're having a great Thanksgiving break. Be well. Bye.